I want to start at your breaking point.
Okay.
You know, you're a young mother. You've been through several failed relationships, and so much was going on in your life. But that was the point you learned how to pray.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was just in a place in my life. It was not just relationships. It was marriages. You know, failed relationships too. But after my third marriage, I was like, okay, God, you've got to help me, because I was just really, really depressed and really discouraged. And I just got to this place to where I began to just research about prayer. You know, as Christians, we say we're Christians and we say we're believers, but I don't think I really knew God then. Like, we say it, we wear the title.
You were in the choir too.
Everything, singing. Yes, honey, I was hitting the notes. But I was far from God, and it's easy to miss that because you're caught up in the hype. You're playing the role, but in your heart you know that you're not where you need to be in God. And I just got to that place in my life that was so broken that I knew that only He could mend me back together again.
And how did He do that?
He did that when I got desperate and I began to get into His presence. Because as long as your life is going good, a lot of times you do not spend that time with God that you need to. You know, we get up in the morning. I had 3 children. You get the kids ready. You go to school. You're in the hustle and bustle of the day, and you may think to throw up a prayer. You know, you may pray a couple minutes before you leave home. But when you get really desperate, you'll start saying, "This is my time with God." Over time, I became intentional and deliberate in my prayer time.
I want to talk about your book, When God is Silent.
Okay.
And, you know, especially in a chapter you talk about when you prayed about something and God didn't answer the way you wanted. You prayed, you fasted,
Yes.
you sowed seed.
Oh, yes.
You did it all. You know?
Laid out.
But yet, like, you know, I've had, you know, close people to me say, I prayed for a loved one and they died.
Yep.
So how would you answer that?
My mother died. My father died. You know, but God is still God, and He still rules and reigns on the throne. And it's like, it's according to what's going to give Him the most glory, right? Because He's not going to give you anything. Like, I can't decide why my mother died. I don't know why my father died. I don't have those answers. But even in that, I still know that God is faithful. And I think that even when all things work together for the good, those who love God, those who are called according to His purpose. So even the things that we do not understand. See, some people get bitter behind things like that. Like, God didn't save this person, or God didn't restore my marriage, or God didn't heal me, or whatever the case may be. But we're not to get bitter. It's to say, okay, I don't understand. Because like when my mother died 7 days before my twins were born. I don't understand. I definitely don't understand the timing, but I still trust you. I trust you because you know the plan that you have for me. But what I can say, my mother's death, then when my father died, if they had not died, I would not be where I am. I would not have the zeal that I have now, or the passion. Because see, when you don't have anybody else to depend on, when you can't call your mother or your father, you have to realize, it's like that God showed Himself mighty in my life because I didn't have that crutch. As long as you have parents or somebody that's that crutch, for me, I know I wouldn't be where I am now because I wouldn't have had that push. It's like losing them gave me that push. I was like, you know what? I'm going all in. I don't understand it, but I know You're faithful. And somehow You're going to turn this into something that is beautiful. Mm-hmm. And that's the way you have to look at it. When it's disappointing, you know, sometimes when you're praying you want to pass a test and the first time you don't pass, that's disappointing. Okay, God, there's a reason behind this. What do I need to do? Just keep pressing. The thing is just to don't give up and just keep pressing. And it makes sense.
How do you push through that brass door? Like, you know, when you pray and you're like, God, did God hear me? Like, I've been praying for years, and you don't feel like He heard you. Like, I know in your case, after your several failed marriages, and you're like, God, I still want a godly husband, and you kept praying. So how did you break through?
Fasting. I started, and if you're physically able to fast, a lot of people do not fast. A lot of people do not fast, but some things only move by fasting and prayer, and I am just a firm believer in it because I know that's what broke through. Because like things can be delayed and tied up, you know, and it's like when you fast, it's like it breaks through, but it also matures you for what God really has for you. And I just feel like the fasting matured me for the man of God that God was going to give me, because I was not ready for him. You think, like people that say, I've been praying for a husband for a long time. I know for me, you know, after 3 failed marriages, you know, I could say it was all their fault. It was not all their fault. It wasn't. You know, a lot of it was my fault. I was not the woman that God had called me to be. I was not the wife that God speaks of in Proverbs 31. I was not the mother that I was supposed to be. So you can't always blame the other person. I knew that God needed to do a work on me. And a lot of times when people come to me now, even like for marital advice and stuff like that, he did this, she did that. But I'm like, let's talk about you. Most people don't want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about what the other person didn't do. But it's like when you get into the presence of God and you're praying, you're fasting, this is you and God. I'm not talking about him right now. I'm not talking about her. This is you and I. And you got to be willing to, he chastises those that he loves. When he says make an adjustment, you have to make the adjustment. And then you'll be mature enough to handle the weight of the blessing when it comes.